Hi, Mark.
Hey Mark, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. I'm looking a little dark
I
here. So.
apologize for not being on video. I'm traveling today, and if
Oh,
there's
no
any
worries.
exterior noise here, it's trying to get away from people. So,
No worries at all. I don't know if you can see me. It's just a little dark. I just shut my blinds there. So, but
I can't at the moment.
oh, no worries. Okay, great. Well, nice to meet you, virtually, so to speak. So I appreciate the time, and yeah, I was looking forward to this conversation. So thank you.
No, absolutely. I know we've only got a short amount of time today.
Right.
So, love to, obviously I've taken a look at your resume and your LinkedIn, but love to maybe just hear in your words, where you've been, what you've been doing, and
Sure.
maybe most importantly, what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. I can give you a quick snapshot of my sales career if that's all right, and then yeah, I can definitely jump into that. So yeah, just on a personal note, I grew up in Long
Great.
Beach. I'm sorry.
No, I just said that's great.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay, great. Yeah, I was just gonna say on a personal note, grew up in Southern California, grew up in Long Beach, went to San Diego State. That's where I live now. It's my wife and I. We just had a son, well, 10 months ago. So um, we've been in San Diego for quite some time now. But from my career standpoint, I've obviously been in sales my whole career. I got into healthcare technology, medical software back in 2012, and I actually started in the EMR revenue cycle management space. Worked for a couple vendors in that market, most formerly NextGen, and then from there, I kind of got in the EMR space, kind of like get the tail end of meaningful use, and but it was a really great foundation for me just to really understand the healthcare landscape, and from there I actually got recruited by the first startup I worked for, which is a company called Interpreta. We were a clinical quality analytics platform. We did risk adjustment. We did some pharmacogenomics as well. And I was the first sales hire there. We had a team of 32 people when I started. And the whole goal there was to really bring the product to market, get the first paying customer, and then get acquired. And that's what we were able to successfully do. We were acquired by Centene. Within a year after I started. Unfortunately for me, I thought I was going to be there for much longer, but Centene had bought the analytics platform, the technology for the some 32, 33 some odd health plans that they own. Even though equity got paid out, had to move forward from there, and I worked for a company called eHealth Technologies. What we did is we had some analytics built in. We did a lot of medical record retrieval, and we did that on behalf of the large academic-based hospitals and health systems. And maybe I should actually back up. With Interpreta, I was actually able to close that first paying customer deal. I think that's an important point. It was with MedPoint Management. It was a managed service organization. They're based in Los Angeles. They manage a large number of IPAs and some Medicaid plans as well. And so we basically we're driving analytics to improve their quality metrics and some of those aspects. But with eHealth Technologies, we worked with all large academic-based hospitals and health systems. Some examples of some clients that I landed there: Stanford Cancer Center, Sharp here in San Diego, University of Chicago. I worked with all the UC systems across the California state, from UCLA to UC Davis. Mayo clinics, and then some large health systems in Texas. Kind of similar situation, more of established company than Interpreta, but we did get acquired by Aldrich Capital Partners. So from there, they reconsolidated the organization. Our CEO left, and after everything was paid out, had to look for something new. And from there, I actually started my own consulting company. It was just a one-man show. I had it up and running. I was basically creating affiliate partnerships with a variety of population health, EMR vendors, patient member engagement solutions. And I was helping clinics, hospitals, health systems, and even some small payers, helping them evaluate these platforms. So, as you know, in the EMR space or even pop health space, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of solutions, and if you're looking to find a solution that's the best fit for your organization, it can be quite cumbersome. So I was helping organizations find, evaluate, and implement. And then I was creating partnerships with the various vendors to create kind of like a reseller's license. And I had some success early, and obviously from there COVID hit, and that put a big wrench in everything. So I just wasn't able to cut the mustard, so to speak. So from there, I actually joined another startup, which was WellTalk. I don't know if you're familiar with WellTalk. They were based in Denver, and they were a member engagement, analytics, and essentially marketing organization for health plans and employers, TPAs. My goal there was to expand and penetrate the payer marketplace, which we were able to successfully do. The last deal I closed there was with Alignment Health Plan. It's an 85,000 member Medicare Advantage plan in Orange County in Southern California here. We were acquired by Virgin Pulse, which is a company based in Providence, Rhode Island. That situation was a little bit different. The position wasn't eliminated or anything like that, but if you've ever been part of an acquisition, a merger, they were cutting territories and they already had an established sales team. And so I was from there recruited by my current company, which is UCM Digital Health. We're a digital front door / telehealth platform. Our main value prop is emergency telehealth. And we're really trying to reduce the number of emergency / urgent care visits by patients. We believe that we can start that care visit virtually. And we found that 60-70% of the folks that go to an ER and urgent care, they're getting referred out anyway, right? So our goal ultimately is to obviously improve the quality care, improve the patient experience, reduce costs for the health plan. And yeah, that kind of takes us up to date. Sorry, I was just kind of rambling off as much as I could about my career at Borneo.
No, it's good to know.
Yeah.
So who are you selling to now? Who do you sell to at UCM Digital?
Yeah, the health plans. I mean, we have employers as clients as well, but my focus has been on the payer space. I actually did close a deal with a TPA that I had a relationship with. And as you know, with any startup, they're happy to take revenue wherever it comes. But the payers has been the main focus. I've been mainly focusing on some of the regional plans, like the Alignment Health plans, MA plans, Medicaid plans, Denver Health. I was just out in Denver a couple weeks ago. So yeah, it's been on the payer side.
Gotcha, great. So how much do you know about Codoxxo so far?
Yeah, I mean, I just had one preliminary conversation. I was actually just, obviously I was doing my homework and some research prior to our call. I watched one of the webinars with your CEO, but yeah, I have a baseline understanding, but I'd love to hear some of your insight, and that's why I was looking forward to this call.
Sure, no, absolutely. So I've been here about a year and a half now. So I didn't come from the healthcare space. I came from software as a service space, mostly in technology,
Sure.
IT, that kind of thing. But the reason I came is so my last company was sold, and I didn't want to go with them.
Was that QSR? Was that QSR International?
Yeah, it was QSR.
Gotcha, yeah.
So ultimately, my company prior to QSR, which was called Apneta, I was there for 4.5 years.
Uh-huh.
And then we were bought by a private equity firm. And then that private equity firm asked me to go to QSR, who they owned, to fix sales and marketing.
Gotcha.
So they could actually sell that. So they were in the process of selling Apneta. So Apneta got sold. And, I left just prior to Apneta getting sold, then, worked at QSR for about 18 months. Then
Uh-huh.
QSR got sold. And then I'm, now I'm looking for my next thing, right? And I ended up, a recruiter called me about Codoxxo, and it was interesting. I've sold into healthcare, but I've never worked in healthcare, if that
Right.
makes sense. So what I was really looking for in a company were really three things. I mean, number one, the people had to be really good. I only like working for people that I trust and do the right thing, and that they're just good people. And then number two is that they had to have a good product, and then number three is they had to have a market of that to sell that product in. I've been at places where we tried to build the market, and that's not fun.
Yeah, I hear you.
So ultimately, after my first call with Mushir, who's our CEO, and just one of the nicest people on the planet, and just incredibly smart. He built Codoxxo. So he came over from India, in his early teens, I think. He went to Georgia Tech at 16. Graduated from Georgia Tech, then went back to do his doctorate at Georgia Tech. And for his dissertation, he actually built ground up AI for fraud, waste, and abuse in healthcare. So this wasn't like adding some AI to this after the fact. It was, he did the research with CMS, and they patented what he did, and then Georgia Tech said, okay, go ahead and take this out to market and commercialize it. So super smart guy, and built the company. We're about 70 people now. We've got about 10 data scientists on our team that are building this out. We're from MIT, from Georgia Tech, others. So really, what we do is we are on the fraud and payment integrity sides, right? So we have the first product that they ever came out with was FraudScope. Actually, the company name was FraudScope originally, which is really AI detection for fraud, waste, and abuse, and mostly fraud, but fraud, waste, and abuse in for health plans. So we would be selling to all the major health plans. I mean, we typically try to stay 100,000 members and above.
Yeah.
Just because it's just as hard to sell a small plan as it is to sell a big plan. And
Sure.
why would you do that, right? And so the product has evolved over the years. So started in about 2017. The product has evolved to be more of a platform. So we call it the Codoxxo Unified Cost Containment Platform.
Mm-hmm.
So where it started with fraud, which is post-pay fraud detection, right? So our AI would find the anomalies, would find those things that look like fraud, bubble those to the top, and allow their investigators to go look at those and say, okay, is this worth actually spending my time on? And then we've moved from that into, we do prepay as well. So, pay and chase, it's hard to get your money back from these guys. Rather do it prepay. So prepay, like post adjudication, prepayment, our AI will find those things, pen, deny, or approve those claims. Those that are pended or denied will tell you each line item on that bill. Why we're penning them or denying them. Give them the reasons, and allow their investigators and their nurses and coders and all the rest just to be super efficient on what they're doing. Right? They're not just trying to put a whole bunch of data into an Excel spreadsheet or into SQL or SAS or something and do a bunch of digging. It's actually bringing them those opportunities and providing all of the data in one place. On top of that, so what we're trying to do is in the industry, and you may have heard this, it's called shifting left. So post pay is as far right as you can get. Then you've got things like prepay. So that's shifting left. Now we're actually saving the dollars before we spend the dollars.
Right.
And then even further left than that is provider education.
Okay.
There's really one other company that does it, or typically that you think about, and that's Change Healthcare.
Yep.
And ultimately, what we do is we will take that same AI platform with our forensic AI engine. We compare providers against their peers in the space and find out, where are they coding incorrectly? Why are they doing it? Is it a mistake or is it fraud? If it's really just coding errors, or maybe someone just doesn't know the right code, or maybe one provider could be using a particular code 20 times, 30 times more than his peers, and that code costs 3 or 4 times extra, right?
Right.
So we'll find that, and then we've got an automated platform that will automate letters, emails, faxes to those providers, telling them, hey, here's where you are compared to your peers. Here's where you should be, and here's why what you're doing is incorrect based on the policies that you have. And then help them kind of get back in line. So the way that we get money from that is we'll take a baseline at the beginning, and then as we continue to bring these guys back in line, then there's real savings there, and we'll take a percentage of those savings.
But the percentage, that's right. That makes sense.
Yeah, and so most of what we do is done on a contingency basis. So we'll take a percentage of the savings that we're finding.
That's great. Okay.
Except for FraudScope itself, because they are taking this data, they are referring them to law enforcement for true fraud cases.
Right.
Then it kind of becomes a bit of a conflict of interest if they say, yeah, well, they're getting money for every case that they send us, that's conflict of interest. So we'll charge a subscription fee for FraudScope, but most everything else is is contingency based, and which we like because that's where we're going to make the most of our money. I mean, we can save, these payers, what we say now. So if someone were to deploy our entire platform, we can save a payer somewhere in the range of $60 to $70 per member per year. Wow. So you take somebody big, you take United Healthcare with 50 million members, that's really big money. We're talking $3 billion a year. And if we get 15% of that, that's a pretty good deal. Now, we don't have United Healthcare today. We are talking to United Healthcare, and we're actually having good conversations there. But we do, we have multiple, we've got maybe 6 or 7 Blues and a bunch of other mid-sized plans. We actually just got our first Medi-Cal customer. So now that we're in state and local in California and we have Medi-Cal experience, we can go after all of those plans, which I think they're 80 or 90.
There's a lot. Yep. Yeah.
And our customers love us. Every customer we have is a reference. There's no one who's saying, oh, well, you're not really doing the right thing for me. And then in addition to that, we have what we call Audit Scope, which is an audit automation platform. So once we detect who you should be looking at, they'll create an investigation, right? So it may be a case, but then ultimately at the end of the day, they may say, hey, you know what, we really want to audit these guys because, we see some big dollars here. And so then you have to get medical records and do that auditing. And our audit automation platform will allow them to go into their own portal,
upload medical records, right?
Portal, upload medical records.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Those go automatically associated with the case that's already been there.
Right.
You've got all of the AI-driven, detection information, what's happened on the case, and your medical records in one place. So you're not it's just efficiencies, right?
Sure.
And then lastly, we've just released what we call Claim Pilot, so we're really, we are an AI company that's using our AI for payment integrity. We're not really a payment integrity company, right? But
sure.
We are, but if you get where I'm going. And then, so we've started using generative AI with Claim Pilot now, and we really wanted to kind of tackle the hardest thing that our customers were telling us that they had, like the biggest issue that they have, and that was facility and clinical claims, because they don't have enough people to manage, to actually do the investigations on all these.
Right.
So they would come down and say, well, our threshold is if it's not $100,000 savings, we're not even going to look at it. Mm-hmm. Well, that cuts out millions and millions and millions of dollars of potential. So what we've done is we'll take that same thing, we run it through our AI. The AI will find these anomalies, find out where we think that there's a problem. The automation of medical records will get those in. We do OCR and NLP on the medical records and the billing and the bills. We'll bring to the forefront, here is where on the medical record it does not match here on the bill, and provide that straight up to the users. And then also taking into account all the policies and all that, and have a generative AI where it's really a chat box where they just ask questions and then they get the data back.
Wow.
Similar to like a chat GPT, right? You ask it a question, it gives you the data, and it's pulling all of that data from the medical records, from the bills, from all of that. So it's making, these investigators, whoever they may be, it could be a nurse, it could be a coder, it depends on which one, about 20 times more efficient.
Sure.
So that's kind of where we're going. And then now we're going to continue to take that generative AI piece and move that across all of our products. And we're, right now it's really just for the facility and clinical, but we're going to continue to build that out for all of our products.
Yeah.
So that's the general spiel of what we do.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing that. I love to ask this, like everything you told me, it makes perfect sense. When maybe can you paint a picture with your how the sales process is going from a demo perspective? I imagine when you're showing this for the first time to a new prospective customer, are they understanding the concepts? Are they getting wowed by the chatbot feature and some of those things that you just mentioned? Is it something that they've never seen before, or how does that interaction go when you're going through discovery and throughout the demo process?
Sure. Yeah. So we typically lead with kind of the entire platform, but depending upon your customer, they may have a real need
Right.
for fraud. They may have a real need for prepay or provider education. So we'll lead with the entire platform and just say, look, we don't need to replace everything that you have today. We've got something that's working great. Let us augment that with one or two or three of our modules here, right? But yes, they do understand it. I think AI is a different thing in healthcare these days, because you've got some people who say, oh, AI,
Yeah.
it just creates bias. And, it's like, well, yes, certain types of AI can create bias, but true unsupervised AI is using data only. It's not about bias. So we really walk through that. They really do see the value in that. Now, when it comes to the generative piece, we're just getting into that now. We just released the product, but our underlying AI, they're very happy. They're just like, wow, it could take me 2 weeks to dig into my data to find out this information.
Right.
And it's like, no, we're just popping these to the top, and we're grading them for you. So yeah, there is, there's really good conversation up front. Now, as you probably know, the healthcare system is glacially slow.
Mm-hmm.
So we've really begun lately, and this is really why I'm looking for the next best, salespeople, directors of sales that I have, is that this is you have to understand healthcare to sell this. You need to be able to do multi-level sales where you're selling to a director or a VP of payment integrity, but you're also selling to a CFO or a COO.
Right.
So you need to be doing both at the same time. And the CFOs and COOs really understand the whole vision, while the directors and VPs understand the product itself and how it's going to help them. So you need to kind of meld those two things together.
Definitely, that makes sense. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned this earlier about how the company's making money is based on the savings. So when it comes to contracting, is each contract very customized? Are you doing a per member per month model, or is it strictly almost like a risk-based type of agreement, or what does that look like for you guys?
So it depends on the product. If it's FraudScope, it's a subscription, right? I mean, it all depends on how many members are in the plan, basically, and so it could be anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million a year for just FraudScope.
Sure.
When we're looking at the other products that are contingency based, we look at them and we say, look, we understand where you are today. I mean, especially our data science team, and Jesse Montgomery, for example, he's the head of our data science team. He's built this out for Cambia Health. He built it out for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota in the past. Now, not with the AI, but he's built out these programs, and he knows exactly how much we can save, right? So when we go in and say, look, guys, we can save you, for this particular product up to $12 per member per year. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a performance guarantee that says that we're going to get you at least $6 per member per year, which ends up being this much money.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is we'll guarantee that. And if we miss that guarantee, typically what we'll do is we'll lower our fees for next year, though we've never missed. But we'll write that into the contract. So all the contracts are a little bit different. But we manage that between myself and Mushir. Like, he and I just talk about it for 10 minutes. We're like, okay, this is how we're going to write it up.
Gotcha.
So it's not an Oracle like thing where you have to get 32 approvals to get something done.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And then from like an implementation standpoint, like after you get the contract signed, is there I imagine is there quite a bit of lift that's required from the client side? Because my experience working with payers, getting clean data, building those data bridges has always just been a challenge. Is that something that you guys are experiencing, or how does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I would say absolutely. The biggest lift that they have is getting us the data, right? And getting us good data.
Yeah.
Now we have a data spec that we use that we would like our clients to use.
Yeah.
I would say half of our clients use that. The other half, we just say, look, just give us the data as you have it, and we'll do an ETL, and we'll tell you if there's something missing that we need more, or and then we have AI also built to walk through all of their data
Sure.
to see, you know, what is the health of that data.
Yeah, that's great.
And we'll go back and tell them, like, look, like, there's some work you need to do with your data, but we'll help you do that. So we try to take as much of that off the client as possible.
Right.
Our implementations are probably 4 times faster than most in the industry. I mean, we're about 8 to 12 weeks for implementation.
That's it.
And that's once we have a clean data file.
Yeah.
But that is so fast.
That's no, I know. That's I mean, I'm used to sometimes 6 months plus. You know, so that's outstanding. And
I mean,
then,
I know of some prospects that we're talking to now where they bought a competitor's product, and it's been 2 years. And
definitely, it can extend that. Absolutely.
And so we try, you know, we use AI internally as much as we use it in our products to help do that implementation process.
That's great. And then once the solutions, once you stood it up, I imagine that the ROI will be pretty evident within a short amount of time, right? Oh, Mark, you still there?
Sorry, I had you on mute there for a second.
Oh, no problem. I was just curious.
Trying to keep being too loud. Yeah, I mean, and we also provide ROI and IRR models, so internal rate of return and return on investment models for all of our customers before we actually even get in a contract, because
Gotcha.
we want them to know what it's going to look like.
Sure, gotcha. I know we just have a couple minutes here. Just another quick question. Where do you see would be like, you know, for this role? Let's say I started next Monday, or whoever that individual might be. Where do you see like maybe the low-hanging fruit, or the biggest opportunity for someone like myself to step in and just try to get some wins on the board? You know, is it the Medicaid plans? Is it you know, the managed service organization? Like, well, where do you see the biggest opportunity, or where you'd like to see the focus from a sales efforts perspective?
I would say it's, you know, all the major, I would say just all of the major health plans. The Medicaid plans are good as well. I would say that the quickest route to a deal is probably provider scope. Which is provider education.
Yep.
Which most of these guys are trying to do. They've got something that they do internally, but it never really works well, and it's never like, and they don't even know what they're saving. So being able to quantify that and provide performance guarantees for provider education, and they do very, very little on provider education. We're doing almost everything for them.
Nice,
so
gotcha.
it's an easy lift for them to get savings quickly.
Sure.
I think that's the best first start. And then from there, it's, hey, you know what? We've got 4 or 5 other products that you absolutely need. And, you know, once you know and trust us, you're gonna want to actually do all of this on one platform, because what we're also doing is we're breaking down these silos internally between, you know, the fraud team and the payment integrity team, which in the past, you know, they typically reported to different people. They never talked to each other. You know, you could have a fraud team that's got this big fraud case, and then you've got a payment integrity team who's trying to do like prepay on them. And it's like, wait a minute, like you should be talking to each other, guys. This is all on one platform. They can see it all. So it's really about just getting that one product in, depending upon who you're talking to. Now, you know, we're talking to a couple of plans that, you know, not huge, you know, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 people that have nothing. They're doing stuff on spreadsheets.
Yeah.
So we can go in and sell the entire platform to them, and they're going from, you know, maybe thinking that they're saving $2 or $3 million a year to saving 20 or 30 in the first year.
Yeah, that's outstanding. With those examples that you just mentioned, what stakeholders' titles have you guys been interacting with that you've been getting the most traction with, and obviously that you feel is going to be the decision maker to sign on a dotted line if they move forward?
So if we're talking fraud, it's going to be, you know, the fraud team, so the FWA team.
Right.
So it's, you know, it's VPs and directors.
Yeah.
And then typically, you know, fraud, you know, can a lot of time move, like they'll go up to compliance, maybe sometimes the CFO. If we're talking payment integrity, it's the VPs and directors of payment integrity. Also the medical directors, especially when we're talking about provider education, the medical directors definitely want to be involved.
Yeah.
because they really care about provider abrasion. They don't want their providers to be pissed off. And the worst thing you can do is go after them for money. If we teach you how to do it right, we're not taking money away from you. And then those ones typically are reporting up to the COO, I would say. So we've got multiple personas depending upon the product, and then multiple levels of personas for each one.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I'm just asking because I'm thinking about, just my Rolodex that, and my contacts across the payer space. Obviously I haven't been focusing on the payment integrity side, but certainly I've been working with COOs, the CFOs. A lot of times they're the ones that are making the final decision or that they're approving the budget. Usually,
and they'll refer you down, which is the best possible thing you can have. Right?
Exactly.
Because then they have to listen.
Absolutely, yeah. I've had some luck with like the vice president of digital transformation or innovation, but health plans are kind of screwy just because you could have the same there's maybe you're working with 5 health plans, you're working with the same titles, but they might have completely different roles and responsibilities with their own individual organizations, right? So just understanding how to navigate that. But yeah, I mean that's what I've been doing, and I just feel like right now I'm always great at getting discovery calls scheduled. The challenge I'm having now at UCM is that we've had funding issues. It's really suffered from our development, our innovation standpoint, obviously the sales and marketing standpoint. So that's why I've been having this conversation with you, and I'm really looking for something that like what you hit the nail on the head earlier. The people and then the product, right? And that's why I've been so attracted to like smaller early stage companies. Not that you can't get this with a 3,000, 5,000 person company, but I found that when I've worked for startups, everybody's got skin in the game. Everybody's, there's not people just going to work for the paycheck, right? We're all kind of mission driven, and that's
absolutely,
that's what I really value. And then obviously the product side, right? Like when I'm selling to health plans, they already have teledoc, they already have doctors on demand. Even though our value prop is different, we're not wowing people, and it's just because we've really stalled up on developing our product. So I don't want to get into my gripes and explain that to you, but just to kind of let you know, I didn't really answer your first part of the question on what are you looking for, but hopefully that provides some insight there. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, I definitely think that you've got the experience that we're looking for, and I like the way you talk, and you seem like you have passion for it, which is really what's needed. I mean, it's
sure.
We've got a product, we've got all the right people. We've got I've got an SE that is awesome on demos, and
great.
He's been doing he's worked for Optum and United Healthcare and Cotiviti, so he's done this in the past, and he knows why this product is so much better because he did it without it for so many years.
Yeah.
And he just lends credibility to all of these calls. And then like Rena, who is our VP of Customer Success, I mean, she's been a pharmacist. She worked for EXL for years. She absolutely knows the pharmacy side, and we've got the people internally that have the expertise. So we'll get anybody on the call who needs to be on the call. It doesn't matter. I don't care who you are and who you work for. It's like sales comes first.
Sure, absolutely. It needs to be a team effort, and I'll tell you, my role and what I've been good at over the last decade is really just quarterbacking deals, right? Obviously, I want to be a subject matter expert. I want to know as much as I can, but at the same time, I've had success when I bring in the product specialist or maybe bring in the executive team if the call requires for it, right? And just really trying to put all the pieces together. But I can do that. I can I get my foot in the door. I can build the relationships, build the trust, understand the problems, and then the key to sales is really, it's very simple, providing a solution to a problem, right? But sometimes understanding that problem or getting the client to understand their problems can sometimes be challenging, and that's why you got to get them to reflect internally. So anyways, I know we're running 5 minutes over and you're traveling. I don't know if you have a hard stop, but I just want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, I do have to jump quickly. I mean, I'd love to move on to the next stage. What I'd love to do is this is kind of something new that I've been doing is kind of the next stage. I'd love to have you just present something that you've done in the past, right? So do a presentation to us and hey, this is how I would present, whether it's the company we're today or the 2 companies ago. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, it's something that you're comfortable with. So we just get a feeling on how you would actually present it, how you show that value. and then have have a discussion after that with the folks on the phone.
Oh yeah, I'd be more than happy to do that. Would it just be like you guys are assuming the role of like a prospective client, maybe a health plan,
exactly,
something like that?
And you
Gotcha.
and I'll have Hillary get in touch with you. But
Okay.
it's like you tell me who we are, right? You are this company, you're this title, and you're looking for this, and then that way we understand exactly what you're presenting and why and to whom. So it's super comfortable. I want it to be something that you've done a million times in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think maybe I have some slides from, I think maybe like my former company would be better. I just wouldn't want to show anything from UCM that, you know
Sure.
what I mean?
No, absolutely.
If that's okay.
Yeah. And you can, and if you want to, make the slides so we don't know, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no,
it's not about that.
For sure. No, I have my slide deck from Well Talk and Virgin Pulse. So I actually helped create those with our marketing team. So, but it's all public knowledge, and Well Talk got acquired. So if there's no conflict of insider information. So okay, great. So I'll work with Hillary to get that scheduled, and then we can move forward from there if that sounds like the plan.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, awesome. Great.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm excited about this opportunity. I know you're traveling. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the presentation and the next step here.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it as well.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon.